Entitlement reaches all walks of life, as you'll find out in this episode of Entitled People. Our first one is from Griffin Knight. This story comes from a friend who swears it's 100% true, and honestly, I believe every word because it's just too good. So my friend was on the train the other day, watching a pretty calm ride turn into pure chaos. A woman, the Karen, got on the train. You know the vibe, sunglasses indoors, a scowl that could curdle milk, and an air of entitlement so thick you could cut it with a knife. She scanned the car, ignoring several open seats, and zeroed in on a younger guy sitting by the window. He had his bag on the seat next to him, clearly lost in his music with headphones on. Karen, of course, wasn't having it. She tapped the guy aggressively until he noticed her, then demanded he move his bag so she could sit there. Not politely, demanded. The guy looked around, pointed to other open seats, and said, "There's plenty of room over there." Well, this did not sit well with Karen. She launched into a tirade about selfishness and the decline of society, making sure the whole car could hear her. Enter the hero of this tale, a man sitting across the aisle, mid-40s, British accent, and the kind of calm confidence that only someone utterly done with Karen-level nonsense can pull off. He leaned forward and said, loud enough for everyone to hear, "Oi, Karen, why don't you sod off and park yourself somewhere else, you wanker-faced McDog cunt?" You could hear the pin drop. The entire car went silent for a second, and then someone near the back snorted, setting off a chain reaction of muffled laughter. Karen's face turned beet red as she sputtered, trying to find a comeback. But the Brit wasn't done. "You're not royalty, love. You're not even in the queue for it. Go on, find another seat." Karen, clearly realizing she was outmatched, stomped off in a huff and threw herself into another seat. She spent the rest of the ride glaring daggers at everyone who so much as chuckled in her direction. The young guy? He shot the Brit a grateful look and went back to his music. And the Brit? He leaned back in his seat, pulled out a book, and read like nothing had happened. Absolute legend. I feel like if more Karens were actually confronted for their bullshit, they might end up not being a Karen much longer, or at least pulling way back on how Karen they really are. This next one is by Good Bean. This was about a year ago in the winter one weekend morning. I was waiting for a haircut appointment, so I walked next door into a popular coffee shop. The place was busy, but not packed all the way. There were 2 people in front of me and shortly a few behind me. The person in front of me had an expensive coat, expensive jewelry, and the whole "I want to talk to the manager" look. She gave her order, which took a while. It's something like, "Blah blah latte with 2 pumps of this, a little of that, this type of milk, 1 pump of this, and so on." She was told that it may take a few minutes, and she stood by the other 2 or 3 people waiting for her order. She was asked for her name on the cup to be called out, and it was Karen. It was my turn to order. I don't need much to make myself happy. I don't need anything complicated. I can sum up my coffee order in one word: large. And sometimes I have to clarify with large and black. Surprisingly, the guy behind the counter repeated my order and somehow was able to turn it into a full paragraph. "A large American blah blah with no this and no that, no this, blah blah. Is that simple large coffee?" "Yes." The guy turned around, took 2 steps to the other counter, fills up a cup, I pay and he hands it to me, all good. I start to walk away with my cup of coffee when I noticed Karen looking at me with a what the fuck look on her face. I see her take 2 steps to the counter and start the whole "I need to speak with the manager." I stopped to look and watch the scene. The argument kind of started with the "Where the hell is my latte, and why the hell did the ratty slob behind me get his first? What happened to first come, first serve?" The guy behind the counter tried to explain the difference between the orders. She was not having it and was getting louder. There was cursing, yelling, and all the fireworks. I see one person who was in the back of the line unzipped his coat, revealing a police uniform, and making his way up to make his presence known. You now have a manager behind the counter arguing with Karen, and the cop just stepped in. The cop just tries to get in a word by saying that what she was doing was unreasonable, causing a disturbance, and it's best to calm down. Karen just stopped in shock, realizing that the cop is not on her side.
What the hell is wrong with you? I am a victim here. I paid my good money and I was not serviced. They should be the ones arrested.
Then she started to, from shock to back to angry. She said this next part while jabbing her finger in the officer's chest.
You need to do
jab.
Your fucking job.
Jab.
And
The officer grabbed her arm and did a full takedown. Karen was face first into the floor screaming. The officer was reading the Miranda rights. You're under arrest for assaulting a police officer, disorderly conduct, etc. The other cop came into the store when he heard the yelling to help out. I did ask if they need me to make a statement or something, but they said they have enough. I just left and didn't follow up. It's funny how she freaked out because she ordered something way more complicated to prepare, which in turn would end up taking longer. But you have to love these people. They assume the whole first come first serve thing really applies to also getting your items, and are so damn entitled about it. And our final one is from Lil Diddy02. So I'm a vendor that services a lot of grocery stores, but until today, hadn't really come across a good one until today. At a grocery store in the morning, fairly slow, 1 lane open, plus 4 self-checkout lanes. Middle-aged couple comes up huffing and puffing that there's someone in line in front of them that's loading things onto the belt and being checked out, and it's ridiculous that there aren't more lines open. Cashier says they can use the self-checkout. Husband says that he shouldn't have to do her job for her. Apparently 10 seconds is all he can take because he just mutters fine and walks over to the self-checkout. First item he scans at self-checkout needs cashier approval, so the poor girl running the area comes over to fix it, and he lays into her about how terrible the service is and how offended he is that he has to wait. While the cashier's trying to fix the item to scan, customer looks over and sees the cashier manager showing another employee how to do something at the customer service desk. Cue a nice entitled, "Excuse me," while looking at her. She has no idea what's going on, so asks how she can help. He berates her for having a personal conversation, and she needs to open a lane for him right now, since she's on the clock and he has places that are far more important than her conversation. She gives the biggest eye roll I've ever seen and says, "Okay, go to register 2, I'll be there in a second." He drags his wife to register 2 and starts unloading groceries. Cashier manager gets there and starts ringing him up. He asked her something, but I didn't hear what, and she said, "Sorry, I can't go check that. That will take time and you have places to be." That apparently broke his brain, because he just looked at his wife and said, "You handle this," and walked out of the store. The wife then has the audacity to look at the cashier and say, "Can I break this into multiple transactions?" Cashier looked at her and said, "Sorry, I have places to be, and open to try to help you out, so you get 1 transaction with me, or you're welcome to go back into the other line that's open." Wife just hung her head and said, "Just check me out." I saw the husband talking to the manager in the entryway, so made sure to grab him on his way in and tell him the cashiers did everything right, and the guy was a jerk. Manager just said, "Yeah, I could tell 3 words into the conversation, he just didn't want to be happy." Some people. Yeah, I feel like some people are just like that guy. They like to live miserably and try to find every single thing wrong with the world and what everybody else is doing instead of trying to see all the positive. They just live one negative entitled existence. Alright, that's enough stories for the day. Well, that wraps up this episode of Entitled People. If you liked the video, please drop a like, share my content on all of your social media, subscribe if you haven't already, and make sure to hit that bell so you're notified every time I upload, and drop a comment down below. It really helps with the algorithm and helps new people find my channel. Thanks for watching, thanks to my patrons and super thanks contributors. Have a great day and stay safe out there.